In a world where two guys live next to each other and feel the need to talk about things, welcome aboard to Nerdy Neighbors. It started out so good.
It had so much promise in the beginning.
Hi guys, I'm Zach.
I'm Vince.
And this is Nerdy Neighbors.
A podcast that we've been doing for 10 episodes now that we can't get an intro right to.
I feel like that was the one.
Yeah. This is a podcast where we talk about nerdy things that interest us. We have a perpetual spoiler warning. I know that we did announce that we were going to do a Luther episode for episode 10.
I found myself unprepared.
It's not so much that it was unprepared. What I wanted to argue was that Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal of Luther in Batman vs. Superman was fine, but...
And I would say that it's not.
Right. But Jesse Eisenberg's only in that movie for like around 13 minutes. So...
We found ourselves talking about it. I found myself going, I've watched his scenes a lot. I don't know what I want. Anyways, we decided it's not a deep well.
Right. That being said, we're still going to be doing a Luther conversation.
Well, we're going to do it, yeah.
We're just going to do it in a different medium that we've been working on.
Yeah.
But... we can start the show as we always do with a dive into nerdy news.
And this week was Super Bowl week, so you know what that means, nerds.
Super Bowl, super commercials.
Yeah, and the only ones I don't really like the really funny ones.
Okay.
Like, did you see the Game of Thrones one?
I saw the Game of Thrones one. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Although someone online said, to me this is canon, which really made me laugh.
That's wonderful. Can't wait for the mountain to just scream dilly dilly.
Or just for someone to walk over a Bud Light night.
Yeah.
Like, huh. Weird branding. But so there was a Avenger spot.
Correct.
And a Captain Marvel.
Yep.
Spot. Now,
which do you want to talk about first?
The most underwhelming one, which was that 30-second Avenger spot of characters walking.
Right. Yeah. It was the Avengers assembling without the line. They have to say it in Endgame, right? He hasn't said it yet, right?
Oh, yeah. No, he hasn't. Yeah. They
so,
teased it-ish.
Right, yeah. At the end of, what was it? Avengers 2?
Yeah. At the and other, I think there's been other moments. The most pointed was Avengers 2.
Yeah.
So, what underwhelmed?
Yeah. It was, I like that we're getting trailers that don't show us everything, which is good, but this didn't show us anything, which is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
I don't know what I want, but it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel trailer.
The Captain Marvel trailer was dope.
It was dope, but again, like, kind of inexplicable to me.
Yeah, no, that's
it's not. It's not. I don't mean to sound so poo-pooey and like, why do we need to do that?
Right.
But it's like, stop showing me so much of this film because I want to see it.
Yeah. No, I 100%.
I worry about that with Homecoming too. Like, I've seen the one trailer for Homecoming. I don't think I'm going to watch any more.
Yeah, I think
because I already am going into that with so many. Like, I had so much less going into the Vulture movie. Like, how are they going to do the Vulture? And that really worked for me.
Oh yeah.
And this, I feel like I feel like they're going to do Ultimate. I feel like they're going to do what we called out in the podcast.
Right. The introduction of
from the Ultimate. So that was sort of my news. To you, my friend?
Yeah, so the only thing I had to add on top of that, Legion is going to be ending after Season 3. And rumor is that we'll be getting an Xavier cameo.
The show's so good.
It is. It's very good. I found myself rewatching it in bursts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
It's really visceral. It hits you.
It does. It does. It's very heavy, too. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know if I could binge it. But, like, when I intersperse it between other things that I'm watching, it definitely resonates really well.
I haven't finished the second season. What I have seen was awesome. It felt very different than the first season. And I was so sure I knew what was going on in the first season and then was wrong.
Yeah.
That the first season really did feel like a trip. Where I was like, oh, man, that was a mailbox? I was talking to it for hours. The first season was so good. That show's amazing.
Yeah,
I don't need Professor X to show up. I guess that'll be cool because he was teased in the first season,
right.
And he's kind of the reason everything is happening to him, sort of.
Do you care that Professor? If it,
no, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters to the story in general, which I like, honestly, because the X-Men movies that we've gotten, the world feels so small because everything happens to this one group. Like it's just the X-Men. We don't see the plight of just mutants in general.
Yeah,
that's one thing I really liked Logan for, was that it showed us an X-Men story that didn't feature X-Men. Well, it showed the rest of the world recouping from the loss of the X-Men.
You know, that's the thing that they struggle with in the books a lot. Mm-hmm. In the early aughts, they tried doing this thing where there was like a mutant ghetto called the M District, mm-hmm. and they did a District M book where Bishop was kind of like the sheriff of District. They've struggled with trying to communicate that to the audience so much, like the kind of like this idea that the writers get,
right,
but that they feel like is never, the audience isn't with it, so it's not impacting us, as you know.
Yep.
And it's the struggle is real, because sometimes it works and sometimes it is exactly like you're saying, like this feels very isolated. It feels like it's happening to these 5
that's like
attractive people.
That's one of the reasons why I'm very glad that in Star Wars they didn't like connect Rey directly to any of the other characters.
Samesies.
Because, like, how does it benefit if her last name is Skywalker or Solo or Kenobi or whatever?
Yeah.
But the other piece of news that I have is why The Last Man is getting a TV show adaptation.
Really? Amazon?
I don't think so. But, yeah, no, I just saw that it was getting...
Oh, do you know what I want to talk to you about?
Have you read Why, The Last Man?
No.
It's Brian K. Vaughan.
Yeah, I know. It's my boy. It's one of those things that I got in my back pocket. Mm-hmm. Like, haven't you still not read Sandman ever?
No, I've read Sandman.
Oh, okay.
I haven't read all of Sandman.
Yeah. That's over there anytime you want it.
Gotcha.
You know what I did want to talk to you about? Because it is a little... I'd love your input. Mm-hmm. Do you hear the reshoots for Dark Phoenix finished? Have you heard about this?
No.
Oh, buddy.
I'm surprised that they're still moving forward with that movie.
Me too. This is what I want to talk about, is because the early, what do you call it? Like first looks? There's a word for it. The screenings.
Yeah,
screenings. 2 thumbs way down across the board.
Well, yeah.
The Screen Rant guy couldn't go into it per se.
Oh, because
you know
of the
NDA. Yeah. But
right.
As much as he could was like, guys,
not great.
Yeah. And he was at the first one too, and again, he was very, like, the impression I got, I was projecting onto the article, was he was trying to say to us, I don't know what they reshot. I mean, they reshot stuff, but I don't know. Like, what do you think? Would you shelf it at this point? You've dumped a bunch of money into it. You'll get something.
You're getting something anyway because Disney's buying it.
Right.
So... Like, I think that they're going to release it because they're going to release just a cash grab. Like, they want people to watch this movie, and anybody who they get watching it is just free money.
There's apparently a scene that's supposed to be very sad that everybody in the audience
laughed at. Yeah. There's no way you can make a sad scene in that movie because we don't have any attachment to the characters.
Yeah.
Of that.
And I think they're going to make the first 2 acts Mystique-centric and make her like
Why? She's so not compelling.
She's not compelling. She's not really an X-Men.
Yeah. Also, like, for as much as I enjoy Jennifer Lawrence's whole deal, I find her, like, she doesn't enjoy playing Mystique anymore.
No, she didn't in the first one.
Yeah, because
she didn't in First Class.
It's like 8 hours of makeup and then go film 3 scenes. And
I hate to say this. The only thing I really like about First Class is Magneto's wardrobe and all of it.
Yeah.
And him hunting Nazis.
I like Darwin. I like Darwin's death scene at Shaw's hands.
I
that was
have
neat
political issues with Darwin's existence in that movie. Because it's like you introduce this black guy and then... this isn't for me. Yeah, this isn't my argument to make. But like it is like...
It's a bummer.
So lame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from.
And then so like just tinge connected to that is the Young Mutants.
Yeah, there's no way that's getting That's no way.
You think that'll ever see the light of day?
Absolutely not.
Me neither, buddy. Me
The
neither.
perpetual optimist that I am, I also
That's not even an
can
optimist
understand.
thing. It's like
life. In
when I saw that trailer, I was like, "Holy crap! Are they missing the mark?"
No, yeah,
Like, who is this for?
right, exactly. Like it's a horror movie type deal.
Yeah,
like
which I know you're not that terribly familiar. That's not what that book is at all.
yeah,
Like when it was first introduced, it was like very much like the new class of X-Men.
Right.
Like these kids are going to graduate to become X-Men.
Right.
And it was very like 80s and like rad and like the book was never horror-ish at all. Like, and I guess I brought up the Dark Phoenix and Young Mutants because Legion is this comic book character, this X-Men character. And the show is this weird psychological. Trip is such a stupid word, but like,
yeah,
you know,
it fits.
Like it's such a genre thing. Mm-hmm. It's not like a superhero. There's superhero elements in it. There's mutants in it, but it's not. They're not, punching Sentinels in the face and facing down Mr. Sinister. Most of his problems are very much internal. Right. Almost everyone has internal problems. I have no problem with the mutants they've made up in that because a lot of the time that's my problem with these shows is like you make up mutants and like there's so many great ones.
So many.
Yeah.
Give me a maggot movie.
Hell yes.
What are we talking about this week, Zach?
We're talking about Captain America, but I actually don't mind if we can't squeeze enough juice out of that if we segue into some Irredeemable.
Yeah, that's fine. So, the bulk...
I thought more of it was on there than is.
Yeah, so the bulk of what we're going to be talking about this week, the major topic that we're talking about is the Captain America trade, the Ed Brubaker Winter Soldier story.
Which I thought a lot more of it was on there.
No.
When you said it's just volume 1, I don't even know what that means because I have the actual. Excuse me, I'm sorry, folks. I have the actual comics.
Right. So volume 1 of the trade is available, and that'll take us from the beginning of the arc up until the tragedy of Jack Monroe.
6 issues in, which is not enough.
Yeah, but I mean, we can talk about what we got.
Well, you go because I don't know where it will stop.
Okay, yeah. So. This comic starts off with Captain America is in sort of a rough place right now. He's being a little bit more aggressive on missions than he usually is, and he's having a talk with Sharon Carter about how he ended up. Did she say that he kills 2 guys by knocking them off of a train?
No, but he seriously injures them.
Yeah. I know that at least one of them's in a coma. And that they can't get any information from him because he can't talk.
They're terrorists who have a bomb on the train.
Right, yeah. No, they're not good guys.
Yeah.
Right.
They were shooting at him, too.
Yeah, no, I get it, man.
I just want to give the audience context that he's not just throwing guys off and stuff.
Yeah, he hasn't snapped.
Mm-hmm. So, Steve, the Avengers have just disassembled.
Yes.
They've
disbanded.
Which this is like, I think 15 years later. I think that book came out in 2003 or so.
Gotcha.
And there have been some successful movies and stuff. So it might not have that much weight.
Right.
But at the time, this was such a cool time to be reading comics because, and trust me, none of us thought there's never going to be Avengers again.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the time, New Avengers was a thing. But Steve is still very much broken.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely torn up about it.
Yeah.
So in the first issue, we are introduced to, what's his name? Alexander... Lukin, yes. Who is a...
Russian expat.
Yeah, exactly. He's a Russian who left the Russian military, and he's selling a weapon to the Red Skull during...
They just say it's back in the day. I think they say some kind of like Ed Brubaker wrote this and he loves his flashbacks. But in Marvel you have to be very careful about giving years and stuff. So it just says 10 years ago or something like that.
Right. But he's selling weapons to Red Skull, and they happen upon a body in a tank, and Red Skull takes interest, and he says, well, how much would this cost me? And Alexander says that he wouldn't sell it, but if Red Skull wants to trade the Cosmic Cube, which the Cosmic Cube is a pretty big part of this story, I can only assume.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it's a big part of the Captain America Red Skull
lore.
Yeah.
So we fast forward from there, and we see. I'm probably just going to jump around a bit, just to main points.
I'll have questions for you after.
So we fast forward a bit. We see that Red Skull is sort of stalking Captain America, and Red Skull is up to something. He's plotting.
It's pretty cool because his face is a skull. He can wear these latex masks.
Yep.
That really are like it really works for me as like this cool little comic tidbit of like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. No. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah. Exactly. I love the spy stuff that Brubaker does with this Captain America book.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. So we find out that the Red Skull has a cosmic cube that is sort of in a state of disarray, and that he plans on...
He needs some double A's for it. He needs some cosmic cube double A's, which is like pain?
Yeah. Atrocities and afflictions, double A's. So he plans on blowing up 3 different firebombs in 3 major cities. It's Paris, London, and Manhattan. To reignite the cube... But before he can call to give the word, he gets shot through the heart. And we were all too late.
Lucan calls him.
Right. And he quote unquote threatens the Red Skull.
It's a really cool moment because in the comic, they go out of their way to make it like it's a very silent bullet sound. The onomatopoeia is like a...
Yep.
And Skull doesn't know what happens, and he touches his chest, and there's blood, and then the body on the floor.
Also interspersed throughout, we see Jack Monroe, who is the second Nomad. He takes over the mantle after Captain
Second
America.
Nomad, I think third Bucky.
Third Bucky? I thought it was
the
second.
So there's... Well, it gets funky in my nugget.
Yeah.
So
regardless, he's 2 of 3 Buckies.
Couldn't explain it, but that's fine.
By all means.
No, please. No, I'm not. Just kidding. Please, no.
So we see Jack Monroe, and he is sitting in a bar, rambling about how he knows Captain America, and the bartender's not having any of his drunken musings. So Jack gets fed up, leaves the bar, and as he's going out to his car, somebody calls his name. And he turns around and says, do I know you? And then the figure answers no and shoots him through the chest.
Yeah.
So the big buildup of this comic is that Alexander Lucan. Alexander Lucan has brought Bucky back, and he's using him as an assassin, essentially.
Was that revealed in the first 6?
Yes.
Volume 1?
Yes.
Okay.
I forget how. I think Sharon Carter... Oh, yeah. After Sharon Carter goes to track down Jack, she gets attacked.
You don't get the one with the folder, do you?
No, I don't believe
There's some books I want to give you. We don't have to read it, talk about it in the podcast. This story arc is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, so I'm not a huge fan of this as it is right now, because I feel like it suffers from power creep. Like
what do you mean by that?
So with power creep, it's a thing that happens in anime a lot, is where you have a sort of story arc that wraps up, but in order to ratchet up tension for your next story arc, you have to do something immediate that blows everything out of proportion. So you'll take like a super powerful character from a previous arc and have your new villain just take them down super easily.
You're misreading this.
Well,
it seems that way.
From what I get through the first volume, it feels like they were setting up Bucky in this sort of power creep type dynamic because he just takes out the big bad that.
Yeah, no, you're projecting onto this. Trust me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'll read through the other stuff.
Well, what do you think of the art?
I like the art.
It tells the story well.
Yeah. I definitely liked it better than the other Brubaker piece that you had me read.
The Daredevils. Yeah, I forget who was the artist in that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, no, not the Daredevil thing. The mutant thing.
Mutant thing.
X Factor.
Oh, that wasn't Brubaker. It's Peter David.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That guy's a Young Justice writer. He was that Immortal Hulk book you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Peter David.
But yeah, I like the art in it. I really like the art in the final issue that we get, which is the Jack Monroe just story.
Yeah. What did you think of that?
That was heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
I felt so bad.
Because you fall into his madness.
Yeah.
And every now and then the comic's showing you what he sees versus the reality. Yeah. And you're losing time with him.
Yeah, you see him you see Jack Monroe trying to track down this group of quote-unquote drug dealers.
Yeah.
Because he overhears some guy in a bar saying that the kids go crazy for the stuff.
Yeah.
And he's going on this sort of last hurrah mission because he knows that his time is running out.
And his kid goes to a school near there too. He has some kind of vested interest as well.
Right. Yeah. So you see him sort of go, and he's like beating up these street toughs. And then the next panel will be those street toughs.
It's like a mailman and
just,
like an old neighbor.
It's just guys in suits.
Yeah.
And he's just wailing on these dudes. And it ends up being the guy runs an ice cream truck.
Yes. Yeah. The stuff the kids were going crazy for was an ice cream truck. He was going on a crime fighting spree against nobody.
Yeah. Exactly.
One
man war on people in suits.
Yeah. But they show him going to his doctor, and his doctor's saying, "Man, you gotta keep taking these drugs.
Foster.
Yeah. You gotta keep taking these drugs, or you're gonna keep losing time."
Yep. There's a point where he loses 3 months, and he just can't remember what he was doing.
And we also see a bit of his history, a bit of like what brought him to this place, a bit of the hero worship and wanting to what he was willing to sacrifice to become a hero. And I would argue,
like, he was willing to sacrifice himself. Like the big running thing in this is that he doesn't know who he is because he's been copying Bucky and Captain America for so long.
Yes,
like he's lost his sense of identity.
Yes,
and then he's also lost his mind. So it's tragic, and I love it.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop reading that episode. That issue.
There's a lot of misleads going on right now. That's what's good about this book, and what was amazing is, how unrewarding it is when a character comes back to life.
Mm-hmm.
This was like I try to explain to people, like, Bucky was dead since 1945. Like they never went to that well. Every now and then they would go to it, but it was a mislead. It was a Jack Monroe. It was someone like that. Bucky was dead. That was a fact in comic. Like, I know it can seem cheap, and maybe more like, I don't know, seasoned readers were underwhelmed by it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it really felt earth-shattering. For me, it really felt like a moment that I was so happy I was just there for all, like, every moment. Like, it felt like an important moment in comics. And he's, the second Captain America movie is called Winter Soldier.
Right, exactly.
Bucky is back, baby.
Yeah.
Like, spoiler, I guess you didn't know this, like, he becomes Captain America.
Yeah. Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, because I texted you that Steve dies, and you went, what?
Well, I didn't know that he died in this
story. Ultimately, yeah.
Does this culminate in the death of Captain America?
Yeah, because
I know that Sharon Carter's the one who
ganks
him.
It's what really, like, what's amazing about the Winter Soldier story arc, it is very much Brubaker builds it like Steve's cracking.
Yeah,
like, and it's sort of his last hurrah.
Yeah, he's starting
and
to have
Civil War occurs.
Hallucinations.
Like, he knows. Well, the hallucinations. I don't know, spoilers.
Okay.
Like, a lot of things are happening that are chipping away at him,
Mm-hmm.
and behind the scenes, sausage is made. Brubaker knows that Civil War is going to happen by the time he's into issue 25.
Right.
By the time he's into his third story arc, he needs to have wrapped up everything he kind of opened up and see, which he does gorgeously. And it transitions beautifully into Civil War because this book is about Steve's frustration.
Right.
And that, moment in comics was about Steve standing up and going, well, no, this is wrong.
Yeah.
I disagree with this. And it, was very organic what was happening in his own book. So this entire, and so Steve dies at the end of Civil War, on his way to be tried for
war crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite stories to read. The entire arc is so rewarding, and there's so much cool spy stuff, and then it's mired down in Captain America history, which I didn't know that much of going into this book. And it made me curious about it, and it made me want to know more about the invaders, and that it made that time very romantic to me. And there are certain issues of this that really drive home the tragedy of and the loneliness of that character, and the loss of Bucky and what that presence would bring to his current life is so prevalent in the book. And it's so there with you, and that will they of that friendship is palpable. It's painful. You just want them to just hug and make kiss, make friends.
Yep.
It's a really, really, really good story arc. I'm so bummed that all there was volume 1, because it will set you up to think, I see what's going on here.
Yeah, I kind of have a notion of where I think it's going, but
until
I read everything, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Especially with Brubaker writing.
I can
he
tell
knows how to throw a curveball in there.
I can tell what you're thinking, and it's not me going like, "Oh no, you're wrong." It's me going, "Oh no,
you don't even know the half of it."
See, my friend. You sort of do obviously know the ending, but the ending, I would say the spiritual ending of that book is right before Civil War, is issue 22.
Okay. Well, I will hopefully be able to get through the rest of it.
Oh yeah, I'll run up into the west wing of the house and grab you those Captain America comics. I have all of that stuff.
So now we'll talk about Irredeemable then. So Irredeemable, it is a publication, or it's a series through Image, right? I believe it's.
I don't
Image.
remember.
I think it's Image.
Mark Waid.
Yeah, Mark Waid writes the story of.
It's basically
it's through Boom Studios. Wow.
It's a real explicit, almost pornographic study of what if Superman really cracked and went evil. And I know there's like Injustice and stuff. Like this is a little bit more R-rated. This is a little bit more. A little bit. Yeah. This is a little bit more like.
The first 10 panels have him vaporizing a child.
Yeah, and there's some sex slaves type stuff, and not even for him to experience, for him to kind of recreate these situations the way he thinks they should go.
Yeah.
He's actually not even human.
No.
At all, or is not even really like a carbon-based life form per se.
He's an elemental type
personation.
Yeah.
He's like this probe that ran into a woman whose baby died.
So he took the place of the baby.
And the baby didn't just die. I think she killed the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do they call that? Like, Munchausen's by proxy. When you're, it's a psychological thing when you're a mother and you keep making your baby sick so that it needs you.
Oh.
And when you actually kill it, it's like Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
Right. Yeah. That's a bit too heavy. Let's not talk about that.
Well, I mean, that's the world he was created in. I mean, it's not a bit too heavy. It's the book makes us deal with this. Like, because then after that, she has this baby that she can't kill, even though she is a woman who has a psychological illness where she wants the baby to be sick, but it's this perfect baby.
Well, let's talk about the bigger story instead of just trying.
Well, that's his origin,
right? But let's talk about the actual story.
Like that's where we're coming from,
right? But let's move through the timeline. So the story starts with this Robin type character, maybe a Nightwing type character. Would you say?
Didn't we talked about this when we did it homework? I mean, yeah. So the story starts with way more Robin than Nightwing, and he seems to be seems to have some kind of psychic power. You can't really tell. There's a gem in his head.
No, we're talking about two different things. The actual issue opens up with this superhero running through his house. Oh yeah,
that Batman guy. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And he's trying to collect his family.
Oh yeah.
Because he is coming. Yeah.
Sarah.
And then the Plutonian, which is the Superman analog, bursts through and just vaporizes the superhero and his wife in front of their child. And then he says, "Do you know who I am?" to the kid, and then he whispers, "I'm a superhero."
Yeah.
And then he vaporizes their house.
So then what do you think Mark Waid is trying to say?
I think he's trying to give fans exactly what they were looking for. Everybody clamors to have a bad Superman.
Yeah.
There isn't a single case of a publication not making, "What if Superman was bad?"
Well, what do you think about his Lex Luthor being in love with him? Do you think that's...
I love that, actually.
Do you think that's Mark Waid's kind of... Do you think that's him being satirical with Lex Luthor and Superman? Or do you think that's Mark Waid's read on that? Do you think Mark Waid is like...
It kind of felt like they were mixing... Like he was mixing Lex Luthor and the Joker.
Yeah. Yes.
Because with
that's a good
Scott
insight.
Snyder's new run, like you have... The Joker's just overtly in love with Batman.
Yeah.
So it felt kind of like that when I was first reading it. Like, oh no, he just mixed these two characters. And
well, I didn't. I keep doing it for the purpose of this podcast, but like I didn't mix it up too much when I didn't keep going, "Oh, this is if Superman. Oh, this is if Superman." Right. I really appreciated what was happening, but I also kind of kept going, "Well, what's he saying?" Like, because it did feel very real to me. Mm-hmm. Everyone felt very real, very fleshed out, and very tangible and believable. Not just as like characters, but the situations they were in, and how things kept getting worse for everyone in the world.
I actually really like this scene where the Lois Lane type person figures out his secret identity.
Yeah.
And you sort of think, okay, well, they're going to move this along like they did in Superman, where he's just going to be like, "Oh, well, now you know my secret, and we have this extra bond together."
I was waiting for tragedy.
Freaks out.
Well, dude, she runs into a room and screams, "It's blah, 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 it's blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
Which, to me, that felt not very real. That was one of the moments that I was like, this is happening to drive this character insane. I don't know.
I kind of saw where she was coming from, though.
Not me.
Really?
Really.
If I were to just come up the stairs.
No,
while
Vince,
flying,
I would not go running into a room somewhere and go, "Vince, blah, 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 is
You
the
wouldn't
Plutonian."
go to your lady betrothed.
That's not the
and
scene.
say...
No, that's not a
no,
one-to-one.
because that's the important thing about it.
That's
like,
not the one-to-one, man. What happens...
When he freaks out, he's like, "What are you going to do?"
She runs into the radio room where they all work and starts screaming like she's a reporter. Like, that's the thing. Like, the context of all of it is what bothers me.
Well, when he freaks out, the important things that he brings to the table are, what if you're drunk? Will you say my name? Will you say that I'm the Plutonian when you're drunk? What about when you're asleep?
Yeah.
You can't control
That's why it would have made more sense in that scene to have her, like, that seemed crazy to me. That, like, not crazy, but, like, you know, that was my feeling. Is like, no, it doesn't make sense for the reporter to go running into the radio room screaming, "Guess what I know!" Like, it doesn't read.
It's their paper.
Because why would that be her knee-jerk reaction? She has no subtlety. She has no sense of timing. She has no sense of, like, danger that this person is keeping this a secret.
No sense of timing.
She has no sense of timing. Like, this person is keeping this a secret. She doesn't have the suaveness to go, "I'm not going to run into the next room screaming it." He might have the strength to stop me.
If anybody besides Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen figured out Superman's identity, you don't think the first thing they would do is pop on Twitter and say, "Hey, look at how close..."
In a Twitter world,
yes. How Clark Kent
that's not what we were presented with. We were presented with a woman running into a radio room screaming, "Tony is the Plutonian, Tony is the Plutonian."
Right.
If she took out her phone and did that, I would be so much more forgiving of it. Or if she said it to somebody on a lunch date and he went flying in, like, I'd be so much forgiving of it. It's the fact that she finds out, is like, oh my God! Runs out of the room. Guys! Tony, put your fucking coffee down! Wait for this! Like, it just doesn't ring true to me as how humans react. Especially a reporter who you'd think would have a little bit more a je ne sais quoi, a little bit more like, okay, Tony, like, you know, you're the Plutonian, and then like, you know, oh shit, you are the Plutonian, okay, like, you know, no, like, you know, shock, no awe, just immediate, I gotta tell everybody, like, it's like a 7-year-old,
She gets angry at
him. She gets angry, she freaks out, and then she runs into the room.
Right.
Like, I need other people to know. I can't be the only person to know that. It doesn't feel human to me.
I get where you're coming from, that maybe sharing it with the world wasn't what you would do. I
don't know that a person would experience the panic she seems to be experiencing, especially a person who you'd think would maybe treat it like a scoop.
I mean, but even still, when she's running through the station, she only
I don't want to get bogged down in this. You're not going to change my mind. That seemed insane.
Okay,
to me.
all right.
We're spending way too much time.
Yeah, you're right. We'll cut out all that
Winter
Soldier stuff. Okay, so the world has changed. The Plutonian's a bad guy now. Superman went to the dark side.
He destroys his metropolis. I think it's called Star City.
Yep.
Yeah.
Aptly named.
Which we don't see. We don't have to meat and bones this. What do you think of? I guess you don't want to talk too much about, you know, the probe thing. What do you think of? Like, I was really kind of blown away with the parents concept.
I was worried. The parents concept.
I was worried that parents in his birth. I was worried that was going to be too analogous. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
To Superman, and it really wasn't.
No. His parents were like thermal energy beings?
They're thermal energy beings, and they're not even from our dimension, and they're out on like a fact-finding mission throughout all the universes and all that kind of stuff, and our race is insanely emotional, and their technology wasn't prepared for not just the strength of our emotions, but the complexities of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, you know, I talked about the probe.
Yeah.
But that was such a fascinating concept to me, and it seemed so dark, but in a good way. Like, you know, the finality of universes and like the ideas of other places of existence terrify me.
Okay.
Playing around with it in comic book form, I don't want to get too heady, like, you know, about like imagination and what's real and what's not. But there was something very rewarding about that kind of solution, which I thought was going to be a problem of where's this guy from and why can he do this?
Right.
And it's like, and we might not be describing it as well and as rewarding as it is.
Oh, you know, everybody should check out Irredeemable.
But I loved that. That was such a curveball, and it was such a place that they could have lost me.
You're talking about when they're describing his power set?
When his parents show up and basically shut him down and go, "This is who you are,
right,
and why you are. And this is who we are,
mm-hmm.
and we're going to take you to the end of time where you can't hurt anything anymore."
Yeah. I did like how they explained his powers, though. How he manipulates physics to...
Yeah, I don't need any of that, ever. I'm fine. No,
it was
cool.
That made my nerd heart just, like, jump for joy. I was like, oh, yeah, because I really like getting into the nitty-gritty of certain things I can just let fly, whatever. But, like, there was an explanation for, like, why Superman can stop an airplane without just bursting right through it, because he creates his own gravity.
Yeah.
So when they were getting into the nitty gritty of, he doesn't fly, he bends space around him.
Yeah.
And everything like that. I was
and like how his laser eyes work and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, there's a prison inside of a sun, or no, an asylum inside of a sun. That's so cool. There's so many cool science fiction elements but then played to reality in such a weird way. Like when he's catatonic and those slaves find him and they fuck him or just hump him. Like, and that's it's like this weird, inexplicable, like Mark Waid paints this kind of desperate universe where everything is desperate to fuck or be loved or make their mark or make their daddy happy, and no one's seeking anything casually. Everyone's desperately they scraping at things. How do you pronounce the guy's name? Quidbit?
I thought it was Cubit.
Cubit? Okay, Cubit.
Yeah, Cubit.
Cubit might be the only kind of moral character who isn't out for his own. He genuinely seems to want to save people and to want to save the world. When he finds out that Batman guy basically sold out every alien world they ever saved to save Earth, his reaction to it is wonderful. Like when the Batman guy leaves this hologram message being like,
this is what I did.
This is what I did, and this might be a trump card to stop Tony, because these aliens invaded Earth and they almost stopped all of them. They have like a little Justice League.
Yep.
And they almost stopped the Plutonian. And this Mark Waid guy, not Mark.
This Mark Waid guy.
This Batman guy
do big things
onto their ship with using Cubit's transportation technology, and basically trades the transportation technology and a map to a bunch of worlds that would be easy to conquer in exchange for them not to conquer Earth.
Yeah.
And Cubit,
it reminds me of the Man on the Wall arc for Nick Fury,
right?
Where like he looks out into the universe and makes sure that none of the problems affect Earth.
Yeah,
it kind of felt like a nod towards that. This is definitely a comic book for comic book fans.
Yes.
Yeah. Like another series like this is Black Hammer. Black Hammer does a very similar type thing where they will put in like inside jokes and winks and nods.
You know why else is like there are a lot of big buys. There's an asylum in a sun.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's a lot of like you have to be on board.
Yeah, no, you need to suspend your disbelief. Definitely.
Were there moments that you don't like, or are there characters you really don't like, or you find unnecessary? I like the God guy, Icarus. Was that his name? He's got long black hair and a goatee, and he had wings.
That might be Icarus. I don't remember.
It might not be. He was really cool. Another maybe one of the only moral characters.
Yeah.
In the thing.
I wasn't a huge fan of Betty Noir, or Noir.
None of the women are written particularly. Mark Waid maybe should talk to his mom.
Yeah,
all the women are kind of.
There's like a
sexually promiscuous to get things.
Yeah, there's like a Madonna horror type.
Yes,
weird. Like
if there is one problem with that book, it has some problems with women, I would say, and it's not overt. It's but there are no, all the mothers are weird killers or absent, and all the kind of like love interests. Well, maybe I take that back. I take that back. There is a bit of a Madonna horror thing, but then some of it is what the men in the book are doing too. Putting on them. The Lois Lane character is kind of just a normal person, other than the fact that if you tell her something shocking, she will go screaming it into the other room. But for the most part, just kind of caught in this world.
Maybe that was a shot at like early comics where whenever something would happen, you'd have the exposition bubble. Maybe. I don't know. That's me swinging for the fences.
It's like Kevin McAllister.
How did you feel about the Plutonian's villain, Modius?
I love that character. I love a Lex Luthor Joker guy. And like you said, it was very much an amalgam. I loved that his motivation was that he was in love with them, and he was a sociopath, and he didn't really know how to express emotions and stuff like that, and he just kind of would put this guy through the ringer, and just to feel something.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
just to have that back and forth.
That kind of straightforward motivation that I don't necessarily connect to emotionally is all I want out of a villain.
Yeah.
It's I get it and I don't get it.
Yep. And that's all that matters.
Yeah. And he
leave me wanting more.
I loved his presence in the book. I loved that as much as I was invested in worried about Cubit and that crew and wanted them to come out the other side and be the comic book victors. Cubit's very much the Jon Snow of the piece.
Yeah.
I loved that Modius.
I always said Modius.
Modius was out there as a Mr. Smith to Plutonian's Neo. I was so excited to see how that was going to play out. That guy,
Mr. Anderson, you look nice.
I told you, don't call me Mr. Anderson, dude.
All right.
What do you think of Modius? Do you not like him?
No, I loved him.
Yeah,
I loved him. I love.
Is there anyone that you thought was like one note? What do you think of the stepdad that kind of formed him into the Clark Kent kind of twist?
I don't remember enough about him.
He has this stepdad, this kind of Bible humping stepdad, who kind of like drilled into him. It was like the worst aspects of the Kents. I'm sorry to keep going back to that, but this guy was like, you got to put
Listen
other
here,
people.
bud. You don't have to apologize for going back to Superman in the obvious Superman analog.
Yeah, this guy was like, you have to put other people first,
right?
But like not in a warm-hearted way, in a very disciplinary way, in a very regimented way, in a very push it down, don't deal with things, to the point that arguably maybe the only chance that young Tony the Plutonian had at a normal life ended kind of quickly, because there was 5 years of him developing powers and the stepdad training him and showing him how to pushing him to try other things and go out and save people and mess with his hair to try to have a secret identity and coming up with a brand and a name and again always putting someone else first and in a moment of young Tony's about to move out to the city and have a job and really bring the Plutonian to the people. He says he's sad that his stepmom won't live to see it, and his stepdad's like, what? And he's like, yeah, she's had a tumor in her brain for like 7 years. He's like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, well, we have to put other people first, right?
Oh.
And then you get the impression that the stepdad kind of has nothing to do with him after that, but because Tony's so weird and never really emotionally developed correctly, not only is he not a human, but like just never had a shot psychologically. Yeah. He just goes out into the world with all these superpowers and this idea of how the world should be and how grateful we should be to have him. And, it's a story about that snapping.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's the rubber band get pulled too tight.
And it shows exactly that, thank God the Kents were who they were.
Right, yeah.
Thank God.
I also showed you the trailer for Brightburn, which is another
awesome.
which is another Superman is bad story that's going to be coming out.
Well, it's why I always like a Lex Luthor. I like a guy who goes, no, guys, that's an alien. He might not be here to save us.
Exactly.
He's not one of us.
Exactly.
I'm not saying distrust the alien. I'm saying
you can't put all your trust in the alien.
You don't put all your eggs in the basket, kids. Mm-hmm. He takes it to the extreme, but it's why I always look, I'm a son of an immigrant. I'm not saying he can't bring great stuff to our culture and our peoples. I'm just saying he can't do everything.
Yeah, exactly. And we shouldn't ask him to.
Well, we shouldn't want him to, and that's the problem with Superman.
Yeah.
Because everybody's so happy to have him show up and fix everything.
Oh, Zach.
And you got to roll up your own sleeves sometimes, people.
I'm falling more and more in love with you.
Those planes are falling out of the sky because we're not good at making planes. Exactly. It's not because we need some guy to save it.
Why don't we make the planes out of the black box material?
We get shut down by Delta Kicks down our door. Black bags us.
With that being said, is there anything else that you wanted to cover with Irredeemable?
No. Yeah, it was a light episode. We wanted to talk comics. I was hoping we'd get more. I didn't know Captain America was so short.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's talk film reroll.
Yep. So this is your homework from 2 weeks.
It's my homework. I really like it. I have a new rule for homework. I re-listened to Friday the 13th, the final chapter today, because that's all that was on. That's what you wanted me to listen to, right?
Yeah.
It's a two-parter. I'm gonna listen to. I also listened to Rogue One Part 1. That's a 3-parter.
Right. So just to fill everybody in, the Film Reroll, it's a podcast where 4 to 5 people will take a movie and turn it into a role-playing game using the GURP system, the generic universal role-playing system. So they will take, each one of them will be a character in the movie, and they will act the movie out, but the movie will obviously change because you have the randomness of dice rolling.
And it's like, it's I can't explain anything other than the feeling of, you strangely feel involved. You're invested immediately.
Yep.
And it's a lot of fun.
It is. It's so much fun.
It's a really good podcast. I do a lot of I do a lot of monotonous but like sort of labor intensive stuff. Like I have to weld sometimes. I have to paint sometimes. And so if you're doing something repeatedly or just running a punch, you know what I mean? It's like the perfect because you're
play.
Yeah, because you can be very present there and just be knocking out your laundry or your dishes or welding a door. The host names I haven't gotten quite straight yet, but
neither have I, and I listen to it like consistently.
But 2 of the guys are really funny, and then like in the Halloween one, there's one guy who is. I wouldn't say taking it too seriously.
Yeah.
But, like...
there's definitely a straight man.
Yeah. But it really works. It's such a solid concept. We have to not do podcasts if we're not going to split them. Because I don't have that much more to say other than, like, it's a really good podcast. It's a really solid concept. I wish we came up with it.
Yeah, really. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Like, I'm
going to keep listening to it.
That's the main thing. Whether or not we can get 20 minutes out of talking about homework.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, as long as you enjoy what I give you.
What nerdy things did you do this week?
Nerdy things I did this week. So, I have wrapped up my personalized campaign that I'm writing. So, fingers crossed, I will get to DM that soon. Separate from that, not much, honestly. Not a whole lot.
I started Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, it should be called Slow Beginning Stuck in the Snow.
Shin 2.
Zach is bored. I mean, I don't know. I'm not so far. I'm underwhelmed. Rewatched a lot of Young Justice. Had that quick conversation with you about Project Rutabaga.
Yep.
What is it? What could it be?
We'll find out soon.
Obsessed over that. There was another nerdy thing I wanted to talk to you about, and now it's escaping me. And not because I'm drunk, but because I feel pressure. Well, then a quick side. On Netflix, there's Conan Without Borders.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend that.
Okay.
And especially the Mexico City one.
Gotcha.
Because, like, he does it with, like, a Mexican, like, crew and stuff like that. And Diego Luna's there, like, doing Rogue One promotion.
Right.
But also, like, really ripping into Conan. And it's so much fun.
It does remind me, I watched the first 3 episodes of Deadly Class are available. So I watched all 3 of those.
What's Deadly Class?
It's a comic book that got turned into a TV show. It's on Sci-Fi. We talked about it before, but it's basically kids go to a school.
Yeah, we did. I remember now. I remember because I was curious about that. Is it good?
Yeah. So Henry Rollins is in it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm on board.
Yeah.
Is he like doing it up? Is he like
he plays
hamming it up? Rather?
Not really. He plays like a reserved, like poisons instructor. But I dig it. I dig
Can
Henry
we
Rollins. in general, sure.
Can we rewind way back to the beginning of the show?
Yeah, what's up?
Where I have to eat some crow.
About,
well, something I read in the news today.
Okay.
Which is that Batman movie is happening.
Mm-hmm.
There's a director attached. Affleck has flown the proverbial bat coupe.
Yep.
And I know it's going to be a young Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's going to be a young Batman.
Yeah.
I know. But, buddy, like, I just want it to be John Hamm so bad. I just want it to be John Hamm so bad. I want to see him play Bruce Wayne. It'd be so cool. I don't want some young guy.
Do you think it would be any different than what we got, though? John Hamm as Batman?
I would watch John Hamm read the Mexican phone book. And there's no way I was going to know anyone in that phone book. I would watch him... I would watch John Hamm count the beard follicles in his 5 o'clock shadow. Anything. John Hamm is like a little bit... It goes for me like here's where Michael B. Jordan is for you. Mm-hmm. For me, that's circa 1986 Kurt Russell.
Right.
Right under that
is John Hamm.
John Hamm, close number 2.
Okay.
And not even just in like infatuation. I'm so whenever he's on screen, I'm like, what is he doing? I think he's solid. I think he'd be such a good Bruce Wayne, man.
Definitely not kidding.
Who like obviously we're not going to get John Hamm.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be Michael B. Jordan.
It's not going to be Michael.
So who would you like to see as a young Batman? And as you think of that, I will say some people it definitely shouldn't be. It shouldn't be Christopher Walken. That would be insane. It shouldn't be Kevin. It shouldn't be Kevin Pollak because he's in hot water right now. It would be strange if Idris Elba played him, but I'd be interested to see what he would do with it. As much as I would like to see it, I doubt Gillian Anderson will play Batman. But I'm trying to think of other people who might have played Bond that I can squeeze into who might play Batman.
What about Gosling?
Okay. I think we talked about this before, and I think I like Gyllenhaal better. I think we talked about
this. Yeah, but he ain't gonna be. He's in Marvel now.
No, I know.
Yeah,
but like in that hierarchy of like hunky.
Yeah, no, I don't think that he would be a bad fit. But I think you're trying to cast Bruce Wayne.
I am, always.
Right. But they're not going to cast Bruce Wayne. They're going to be casting...
That's the in, man.
They're casting Dick Grayson to take over.
What?
That's what they have to do.
Why?
Because they're not going to let this sinking ship die.
No, they're going to do a Batman movie. What are you doing?
Yeah, they're doing a Batman... Oh, you think that it's going to take place out of continuity? Or before the continuity. Okay.
That's what they're saying. Gotcha. Straight up.
Okay.
They've committed to that.
If they're doing that, then yeah. I mean, I would still.
But they're not. Okay. Let me clarify what I've read, because no one has explicitly said this is happening in or out of continuity. Right. What they have explicitly said is this is a younger Batman than Ben Affleck's Batman. Okay. Which leaves them room to, if they end up doing it in continuity, they can't. The only decision that has been made is Affleck's gone, and we're going to go younger.
Okay.
I don't know if this will fit into the DCEU. I don't think they know yet. Which is why, I mean, the fan casting of John Hamm is never going to happen.
Right.
I don't have anyone in mind. I think they'll Alden, what's his name, us? Like they did with, right? Yeah, like they were Solo. Like it'll be some guy who's done like 3 things. Mm-hmm. Like goes, oh, okay, sure. He sort of looks like a, yeah, okay.
Yeah. As long as one of those things is a Coen Brothers movie. You're in the clear.
I don't even like that Coen Brothers movie that much. The Hail Caesar, yeah. It was okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I ran out of... there was so many more... There was one more nerdy thing I did this week that's just not hitting me. It's going to drive me crazy when we turn the mic off.
Gotcha.
This isn't long enough.
Well, it's just about an hour.
No. We need 5 more minutes of material. I'm not joking.
We still have to do homework.
We do still have to do homework. That's exciting. Okay.
So let's do homework.
For homework, I would like you to come over here and drink with me. No. Did you watch Big Trouble yet?
No. I'll get to that on Wednesday. Today was a...
It would be lame to make that homework, but I could talk about Big Trouble in Little China forever. If I made that homework, would you try to watch it more than once?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's make that homework.
Yeah. Do you want to do Big Trouble next episode?
For the whole episode, no, because I've listened to. I'm a fan of 3 different podcasts that have done that.
Okay.
And I don't think that's our brand.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Homework for you this week is a comic. It is called Skull Kickers.
Oh, but what was that one you were just talking about that's like Irredeemable? Because I really want to read that. Black Hammer?
Oh, Black Hammer. Yeah, you can read Black Hammer. That's fine.
I'm really curious about that. Every time you talk about it, your eyes get all wide and your pupils get dilated.
It's Jeff Lemire, and it's super good.
I'm so curious about it. You were talking about it last week, maybe on and off mic. I think we were talking about it on Saturday when we were doing our unannounced project.
No, that's my new hotness.
That was fraught with technical difficulties.
Man, make sure to charge your equipment, guys.
I had fun. So that's homework. Is that on your? Do you have that in your?
Yep.
Okay. I'm still maybe not tonight because there'd be too much trouble. I'm going to get you this Captain America comics.
Okay, sure.
It's such a good story arc.
Yeah,
It's a crime that you haven't read it.
Yeah.
Actually, my brother has a graphic novel. I'll see if I can get it from him. I got his brick back to him.
Good.
All right. I guess we'll wrap it up. I had so much fun. I wish we could do these for hours. Have you ever noticed that
we have done these for hours?
Have you ever noticed that your Christmas present protects my comics?
Well, that's good.
They're standing sentinel. I have Batman and Robin from the animated series holding sigil over my graphic novels.
Ever vigilant.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that was our show. I hope you guys have as much fun as I do.
Yeah, we enjoy doing this. We will continue to do this.
And we will continue.
Yeah,
it's not just a promise; it's a threat.
Exactly.
And like we do every week, we will end our show with the majestic chant of the Nova Scotian brown-backed moose. A. Moose. A. Mises.